wanted to talk a little bit about Aug's posting last Friday, I think, where he said something along the lines of time has been unlocked and now you can have and do whatever you want. Like, in other words, the blinders are off or coming off, the veils are lifting, etc. And he also said that, well, he said in another post that the machine, the AI, he said the machine, but I'm assuming that means AI. You know, the metal god or whatever this thing is. He said it created a whole ton of universes, individual universes, and that he said this one here particularly is connected to all the others, or he said synchronized with all the others, and that at some point everybody goes back to the baseline and checks out, you know, what everyone else has gotten themselves into, or what cool things they did, or what maybe they created all kinds of hell realms or something. I'm not sure, but that was the general idea, was that this singularity point branched out a whole bunch of universes, individualized, personalized universes via the mental, possibly in conjunction with technology, likely in conjunction with technology. Like when the first technology comes in, then that's just, it's already done at that point, but it has to play out through time. Like when the first lever was created, and the guy's like, oh, I can fling the rock at my fellow man instead of just trying to throw it with my arms. You know, like once the first thought entered about changing something, then I think at that point was when this singularity happened. Like that was the explosion right at that point, when the first thought hit that, oh, I can do something different than is already here. So the idea is that you have a whole bunch of realms or universes connected via some sort of stellar network or internet. The terms are all sort of interchangeable now, but they are connected in some fashion, likely not visible for the most part to the eyeball, visible to the mind's eye. And somebody was asking in response to that post that Aug had made, well, if everybody's living in their own personal universe for the most part, but they're all connected somehow, but the rule set is not such that everyone has been led to believe, but it's more of a general imprint that has been carried on from the more original realms. And it is more personally malleable and whatnot. People are saying, well, how come I can't throw lightning out of my hands? Or how come I can't do magic tricks or something? And it's a good question. It's not a bad question. But I feel like no new information fundamentally changes the reality. Like new information that says, oh, you're free now, you can do whatever you want, that doesn't change anything. Even if someone came up and showed you somehow that you were free and said, like, look, you can do anything, you would still moral structure or moral framework in order to figure what's your first move even, you know, like if you're not operating out of the ego mind, like fear motive, then you don't just act and react. You're not just either acting out of desire or the opposite of desire. There's something else. There's some sort of a fabric that has become your motivating net, and that net does not say, like, let's shoot lightning bolts out of the hands. So even if there were nearly infinite universes that had come out from that initial explosion or singularity, or when technology hit the sort of max and then reverted in on itself and came back to the center, they're still connected, so there is still going to be sort of accountability and checks and balances across the network, because even if your own universe has become a node in a stellar network, say, galaxies connected to other galaxies, there's still accountability. There's still no hiding. No matter how many universes have become into existence, there's still no, like, we're gonna hide off in the dark corner of the universe and, you know, diddle ourselves or whatever. Like, even if you're torturing some other being in your realm without remembering that fundamentally it's all the same essence, so you're essentially torturing yourself, and that's going to come back around at some point. Even if you have managed to forget that, or like through technology destroy the remembrance of that so you can go play that game again, it's still going to come back around and get you in some fashion, or even if your own memory will come back and get you, and you will have to look at what happened and look at what your part in it was and figure it out. Because regardless of how creative the realm is allowed to be, or your functioning and movements within it are allowed to be, we as beings still have to live with ourselves. And, you know, if you've racked up a body count or something, or if you've played the role of dictator or the head of a, you know, a blood cult or a religious bullshit thing, sadist, masochist, whatever, all the things that seem to be present in this one, if you're that, then you know, it's gonna come back around some way, somehow. And it's still fundamentally balanced. So I don't think necessarily that new information coming to the scene for you particularly needs to startle you necessarily, but as far as all of these things coming out, as far as the disclosures, and even as you tie in with the stuff you find on the internet, how that flows through your mind, if you tie that in with what you actually see with your eyes, I think a picture begins to come into focus that is different from what you grew up with. I know for me that's 100% true. Like, this particular place I'm in now has nothing to do with when I grew up. And the mental strangleholds that have been on everybody, for the most part, they're not there. If you do your self-work, they're just not there at all. For 99.999% of the time, you are internally absolutely free. If you're not doing the self-work, or if you haven't even come to any awareness in the first place, then you're completely running off of those bindings, those mental boxes. Completely, those are running everything about you. But after that, after you decide or find that you would like to have some sort of a say in your own existence, then and you do the work, you have to do the work, then you come out on the other side and you're free. And you also have responsibility, because everything around you is involved intricately inside You're in it. It's in you. It's not different from you. All of the old teachings have always remained. All of the sort of wise ways of seeing things, the Eastern religions, have always remained applicable. And the biggest fear people have always had is coming out of the bondage into freedom. They're like, what do I do now? You know? That's the biggest fear. Because everybody's used to basically getting punished for moving an eyelid, for moving a thought, for moving anything. In this realm, at least, the constrictions have been so tight to where you're inside of your own thought prison, and you're used to even self-judging to the point where coming out of that on the other side, it's like, well, what kind of movement am I even allowed to make, even within my own judging set, which I can't even necessarily see? What am I allowed to do as far as movements that's not, you know, resulting in some sort of instant punishment? And there's no way to know that until you actually do it. You have to actually just do it. Information for me has always been second tier, or sort of supporting. Information is the structure, literally, in which your awareness and your presence flows through. And if that structure crystallizes itself and becomes clearer, you see everything without so much, you know, Kool-Aid. Without drinking the Kool-Aid every second, you see things clearly, more clearly. Than the information that comes in, rather than just propelling you down all the rabbit holes yet again, and going for that ride again. Because that's like an adrenaline rush when you first are in bondage, and then all of a sudden you see rabbit holes, and they're like, follow this one, and you feel like some excitement or something coming in. And then you get down, 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 you're like, oh wait, like this one doesn't end either. And it's sort of maybe revealing something, and it maybe ties in a little bit with the other rabbit holes, but it's not doing anything very much for me, particularly in my situation, because I still keep waking up and doing the same thing every day. So to not be going down the rabbit holes, but to keep an eye open, keep the awareness going as far as information, and don't like bother about for the most part, don't bother about the information. I don't care about the information for the most part. Like once you've seen a page worth of stuff and made some correlations internally and some probability counts, you know, some logistic probabilities, you can see, like, you're like, okay, this is what it is. And you find the general sway of the information flow, and then everything kind of fits within that. And no one new bit does a whole ton. It may add a little bit of interest to the day or something, but it's not mind-blowing stuff anymore. The mind can only blow so many times before it doesn't come back. So it's a good thing if your mind is not constantly blowing every 5 seconds. See you guys. Peace.